Yo, my bad to everybody else. Look, bro. I'm gonna be quick, and I'm recording this because it's easier for me to kind of like jot down a lot of my thoughts. This like idea that like people are just going out and lying about Jokic and the MVP race and everything about like I'm so confused to what the big deal is about. Like why are y'all in such an uproar about the fucking award? Everything that people are upset about literally doesn't make any sense. They're either prematurely judging Jokic and his career, or they're acting as if like I don't know. I'm so confused by what they're upset about. If you want to argue that Jokic and the lack of winning, sure, because that definitely is an anomaly in those regards, and I think that's probably the best argument to articulate. However, I would rebuttal that I think you can definitely make exceptions when the gap in winning is as small as a 2 or 3 game sample size. And also, if you want to argue, and on top of that, if we're being honest with ourselves, the way that it normally is, if we're being honest with ourselves about how it should normally be kept up in terms of consistency and the amount of wins that you need or the seeding that you need to be an MVP, even Embiid winning the MVP still doesn't make any sense. It still doesn't make any sense even for Embiid. Historically speaking, you normally would have to have like a top 4 to 5 record in the league to win MVP. Embiid doesn't even fit the winning criteria either. Being the fourth seeded team, in regardless of the conference, being the fourth seeded team normally doesn't win the MVP either. So Embiid doesn't check off the boxes of winning either. So I don't know why people are bringing up winning and then go to Embiid because he doesn't check off that box either. I don't. I that Let's get that out of the way. Secondly, let me first say this before I continue. The MVP award itself, it should stand for something, but the reason why many people like myself don't hold it to that stature is because as we all know, several things can occur within a year's time that could alter people's perspective on who should win the award. And I think that's a fair assessment to make. But two and more importantly, there are just times where players are just noticeably better than you or just better than you in general, and you don't win the award, but that does not mean that you're not an MVP caliber player. So when people are sitting here saying, "Oh, KD only has one, but Jokic has two," yeah, but KD was peaking at a time where he played in a league where LeBron existed. That's when he was peaking. And then as soon as LeBron switched teams to Cleveland, Curry started to peak at highs that were just better than Kevin Durant. Sorry to tell people that, but that's just the facts. Like there's reasons to why when Kobe was peaking, he was peaking at a time where he was on one of the worst playoff teams in the league. It's unfortunate, but that is the reality. You all taking out those that level of context that is needed in both of those arguments doesn't make any sense, because if you're still pushing this narrative that Kobe should have won the award, then by that fault, why are you debating if Jokic won it? You should be completely fine that Jokic won it if you truly believe Kobe should have more than one MVP. You should be fine that Jokic won it. But because of all of these pieces, and um because there can be just a player better than you or who having a better season, and because you may just be at peaking at the wrong time in NBA history, that's the reason why people reference NBA MVP finishes. Like, where did you finish on a year-to-year basis? And normally, players who have several years finishing top 3 or top 5 in the MVP race, normally that right there is equivalent to winning an MVP or two, because that means you were able to keep that level of play for a substantial amount of time. But the idea that Jokic can't win the award for these strange reasons, quite frankly, is just dumb. For example, the argument of, well, Jokic can't win the MVP award because back to back MVP winners, that award, that title is held to very, very high regards. it's held to high regards because we allowed the other players to finish their careers. That's why it's held to high regards. Before Giannis won a championship, Jokic and Giannis had very similar postseason success. As of today, Jokic and Giannis have very similar postseason success pre-Giannis MVP. I mean pre-Giannis championship. Same thing with LeBron. LeBron made it to the finals in 2007. That's great. But before he went to Miami, he had two MVPs. LeBron, before he went to Miami and won his championships, had two MVPs in Cleveland. He had not won a championship. He had been to the finals once, but in the 2 years that he won his two MVPs, 1 year he was supposed to make the finals, didn't make it, lost to Orlando Magic team without Jameer Nelson. And in the second year, he lost in the second round against the Boston Celtics after being up what I believe to be 2-1 and underperforming and just playing horrible in the last like 2 or 3 games of that series. Anybody who knew anything about the Boston Celtics and them going into the playoffs healthy knew that LeBron James and that 2010 Cavaliers team was not going to beat them. We knew that. Everybody knew that. And it was still no argument to why he should or should not have won the second back-to-back MVP. Everybody knew that. Moses Malone, 2-time MVP in Houston. His second time when he won the MVP award, he got knocked out of the first round. He was a 46-win team, got knocked out in the first round. Michael Jordan had two MVP, but we allowed his career to continue. Michael Jordan had two MVPs before he ever made a conference finals appearance. But we allowed him to finish his career. Same thing with a lot of other players. So this idea that, oh man, when you're MVP, you should be poised to make a deep postseason run. And when you're MVP, you should have a lot of playoff success. When Iverson, when he won his MVP, he had never made it to the conference finals at that point. Kevin Garnett, when he won his MVP, had never made it to the conference finals up until that point. You're able to use hindsight and look further into careers because we've seen things transpire. But a huge portion of players, people who won MVPs, were not that successful up until the moment that they won the MVP. So you telling me how all these players won championships? Yeah, most players who won their MVP win their championships in another season, not in their MVP year. KD won in 2014. He never won a championship until 2017. Harden, Westbrook still have not won a championship. Rose had literally like little to no playoff success up until 2011, and he still got the award. So these arguments that y'all are using, David Robinson, when he received his, was never able to make it to the conference finals until the year he won it. So these arguments that people are using about like, oh well, we were giving it like, look at his playoff success in contrast. Hey, again, people talk about Jokic as if like he's never made the conference finals before. He has, but also y'all have to stop sitting here using the ability to look through a player's career and justify, well, look at what he's done in this. All these players that conference finals appearances, and all like that. Jokic just doesn't have that. Yeah, because Jokic is literally in the middle of his prime, and in the middle of his prime, he unfortunately had to deal with massive blows of injuries to his team. But he just turned 27. Jokic probably has another 3 to 4 more, maybe even 5 more all-time great seasons under his belt. Who knows what's going to happen in the next upcoming years? Because when everyone was healthy, they made it to the conference finals. And out of all the teams that were able to push that that Lakers team and give them some problem, outside of I'm pretty sure a healthy Miami team, that Denver Nuggets team was also very close. So this idea, I don't. I'm so confused. This idea that you have to have postseason play, even though it's a regular season award, doesn't make any sense. But even then, all the players who've won the MVP in the years before they actually won the award, it's not like they had this extensive playoff resume. They just did not. They did not. So y'all being hypercritical of Jokic when he's 25 or 26 years old, when he's literally accomplished more than majority of 25 and 26-year-olds have ever done. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. He's 20. 25. I also want to be clear about this because can't stress this enough. Winning the award, winning an MVP at 25, 26 years of age, bro, there's only a handful of players who can say they've done that. Majority of the players who win the MVP award are around 30 to 28. That's where majority, 30 to 27, that's where majority of the players who won the MVP award. Jokic is a relatively speaking, he's a young MVP. Bro, give him time. But I'm sitting here having to hear people argue, well, look at what Embiid is doing right now. Yeah, he's in the East, matched up against the Toronto Raptors in the first round, who didn't have Scotty Barnes, and Jokic in the first round matchup against the Golden State Warriors without MPJ and Jamal Murray. What are we even talking about, bro? It's common sense. The impact that both of them have are great, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Embiid because he still played at an MVP level this year. I'm not even like trying to take anything away from him. But these random, it's so funny. The same people who will sit here and say, "Oh well, the problem with the MVP is that the standard just changes every year." Yeah, so does yours. Your reasoning to why this player should win the MVP, it changes every year as well. The same people who are saying that, oh, Jokic can't win it this year, were the same people saying that Steph Curry should have won last year. It's the same people. The same people who get upset at Jokic winning this year and last year are the same people who are saying, oh, Kobe should have more than one MVP. It's the same fucking people. It's the same people. Same people. So you don't care about winning when it comes to Curry and Kobe, but all of a sudden you're a traditionalist when it comes to Jokic. Okay. And y'all wonder why I be saying I truly believe a huge portion of the community is xenophobia. It's the same argument, it's the same reasoning. And if anything, you should actually be happy that they're giving it to Jokic because now that means that the bar for how many wins you need might actually be lower than we originally anticipated, with voters being more open-minded to giving it to lower seeded players simply because of their impact in their play. Jokic literally does similar things, statistically at least, than what LeBron was doing in the argument that y'all had for LeBron for several years. Jokic led that team in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. Jokic had the highest field goal percentage on that team, and that's even looking at players who only played like 10 or 14 games. Like Bo only played 14 games for the Denver Nuggets. Jokic still has a higher field goal percentage than he does. Across the board, Jokic was undeniably the most valuable player to his team than any other player in the league. That does not mean that Embiid did not have an MVP caliber season. That's not what that means. But this idea that it's just blasphemous that he won the award is crazy to me. It's crazy. All right.